It's due comic book day. So let's go through everything I read for the last 2 weeks because I didn't do a recap last week because I didn't go to the comic book store last week. So we have a lot of backlog to go over for everything that I've read. Task Force Z. I'm going through Jason Todd book. This is volume one of Task Force Z. There's two volumes, but pretty much not very good, honestly. This and Red Hood the Hill. I'm going through a bunch of Jason Todd books kind of like sporadically throughout his timeline. But these really aren't good. They don't feel like Jason books. They more feel like they're books that someone else wanted to tell about something else, but they just put Jason in there. Yeah, this one really just about him as like as you can tell from the title as like his own Suicide Squad, but they're all zombies. He doesn't really do much. He's not really a big character, and I was hoping that Arkham Knight here, Astrid, would be a bigger character because of the whole game situation. But he and her don't really interact that much actually, and she's not really a huge character at all. She almost like has no scenes. And then Red Hood the Hill, like this is the most misleading thing ever. This was also really bad, and mostly because he's a secondary character at most in his own titled book. Almost saying he's a secondary character is a stretch because he's really barely in it and barely does anything at all in it. Batman number three. This one was pretty good. I'm kind of seeing more of what Matt Fraction is doing now. It's like an aging Gotham situation, kind of like what is Gotham like 20 years later? Like, it's not explicitly 20 years later, but that's kind of like the vibe I'm getting, especially with Killer Croc in the first issue. And then we see Riddler now in this issue. Then we kind of see like what's happening to his brain as time goes on. And then also there's a lot of talk with Batman with Bruce, how he's getting older and stuff. And they kind of talk about that a lot too, especially in Night Fight, which is also canon. It's essentially him like fighting alternate versions of the Robin boys when they become Batman or if they become Batman. But this starts off with him aging, essentially. Like he talks about how much older he is now and how much he needs to pass on the torch, so to speak. This issue specifically is about Dick Grayson's alternate reality. Nobody's pointed it out. I haven't seen anyone point it out, but I thought it was funny that in his alternate reality, he becomes like a teacher, but the way that they do it in this book is so much like basically Titans Academy mixed with Robin War because he sort of like jumped in and taught Robins in that storyline too. So yeah, his future just ends up being like a worldwide Titans Academy Robins War situation. So it wasn't anything super new, but I did like that that's kind of like where his life is headed. Like if he were to become Batman, he would be like a teacher for a lot of young heroes. Batgirl 13. I am if still iffy on this series. I think this issue specifically talks about more of the unburied a little bit, but I am getting tired of just like characters that can do a lot that are hindered by just their past trauma. I understand like that's an important part of her character, but I feel like she has grown so much at this point that relying on that past trauma to traumatize her constantly is just paralyzing her for the sake of paralyzing her. She definitely can do more than just be stun locks all the time. So that kind of bothered me. And I'm hoping that this arc wraps up soon and we get another arc, maybe with the same characters, just because this is running a little stale for me. But I don't hate the characters at least. Birds of Prey. This is the second to last issue, issue 27. There's only one more after this in December, and I will not shut up about it. This is a really good series. Please read this series in trades. You don't have to read this in individual issues. Whatever way you can, honestly. You don't even, online works too. It's just that the series is really good. I'm really sad it's getting canceled, or at least, hard stopped because there's so much potential for this story to keep going forever in a good way, not like a dragging way. This issue was also very surprising. They had two surprises for me in this issue with Ink kind of betraying the team. I guess that's sort of to be expected because she's like a villain. They really played it up. Like she could have been a hero and she could have really turned herself around and like they really convinced me honestly. And the other surprising thing was the leader or the creator of the video game that they're kind of playing it. Their motivations were pretty underwhelming. Like there wasn't a great mastermind or anything like that. It was pretty soft in terms of like what reasoning for doing everything was, which I guess maybe because the series is wrapping up so soon, that's why they did that. But I was surprised that there wasn't like more. It felt very muted. Batman number 47. This is from the 1940s. I don't remember what specific year, but yeah, old comics, they have a collection of stories instead of just one through line story. So there's like several mini stories in here. But the big one, as you can see from the cover, is really about going through Batman's origin, kind of explaining what specifically happened and who did it, and then just kind of like talking more about that. I think what's really interesting about it is that traditionally now, so ingrained that Joe Chill shoots them both. His Thomas and Martha Wayne. But in the original, this one right here, he just shoots Thomas because Thomas charges at him, and then Martha just dies from a heart attack. And also, to add to that, this is also the first time they mention Joe Chill. Like, this is the first time that they say his name or give him a name. And then, just like the Brave and the Bold episode, Batman actually does confront Joe Chill and shows his face, and they do that whole dramatic reveal and scene and confrontation, which very cool. I did not know that was from this original, issue 47 from way back when. So that was really cool to read. Other than that, the book is okay. I mean, it's a really, really old Batman book, and it's just like a collection of stories. That specific one was pretty good. And there was like a one with Catwoman about being a fashion designer, which is a really silly one. Zatanna, it's Showtime. This is the trade. This just came out when I got it. It's like a week or two ago. I did have the first issue and I did read the first issue. I really enjoyed it, but I decided to just get the trade when that came out. Now that it's out, I have read it and I really, really liked it. The first issue is a big indicator of whether or not you'll like the series. Or the story. So if you like that one, you'll definitely like the rest of this. There's a really, really cool stuff and really cool ways to use magic. I think speaking backwards slows me down when I read it because I have to figure out what she's saying. But yeah, there's some fourth wall breaks a little bit in issue 5, I believe it's issue 5. There's 6 issues in here though. But yeah, really, really good story. I'm a big fan of this story. And the writer and artist is Jamal Campbell, who is the artist for Green Lantern Far Sector, which I also recommend. That book is really good too. And then I also read Batgirls. This one is pretty okay. This is volume 1. I may get the rest of the series in trades like this, really just because of the art and little moments. It's not a super like greatly written story, like there's not like a whole bunch of depth to it, but it's like a fun story. And I almost think like a big part of it is that it tries to tie too much into like whatever's happening in the Batman comic at the time, like this whole thing about that magistrate, which I never cared for when it happened and I don't care for it now. Nothing about them in this book makes me want to care about them even more. And then also my other problem with this story is that a lot of the characters feel like half written. Like for whatever reason, they don't feel like fully themselves. It's not like a caricature of themselves, but it's not exactly like fully themselves. I don't know how to explain it better than that, but I think if you read it, you kind of get the vibe with all 3 of these characters, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, and Barbara Gordon. You gonna feel, I wouldn't say hollow, but they just don't feel fully themselves. And then I also read Mother Panic, Volume 1 and Volume 2. This was really good. Just like the Batgirls comic, this one I've had for a very long time and I just haven't gotten around to reading it. And now I finally have, and it's really good. I will say there are 2 artists on here. Tommy Lee Edwards' art, which is the cover artist as well. Very, very good. Very much fits the atmosphere of the story and the characters. That was a huge highlight for me, was that art. And then I also really just like these characters, especially Mother Panic. It's another rich socialite from Gotham who's kind of like being a vigilante, but not under Batman anyway. She works like independently. She has her own unique kind of backstory and lore. And they do kind of dive into that as the story goes on. She gets like a small and growing rogues gallery, like almost unintentionally. I think the suit is really cool. I think this like crazy, like futuristic cycle plane jet thing is really cool. I think as a character she's just really cool too, and she's very different from Kate Kane as well. Like there's definitely some similarities with her, but she's her own character. And Kate Kane and Batman do show up in these books, but they don't like overshadow anything. They're very much cameos. They're not hard spotlights or anything, and when they show up they don't like take anything away, which I thought was really nice. And then finally, Shang-Chi Volume 1. This is Volume 1 Brothers and Sisters. I got this one more recently, but it came out I think way back in 2020 or something like that. It's pretty good actually. It's actually a lot better than I thought it would be. This is kind of like the first in the modern era of Shang-Chi, but I know there's like 3 or 4 more volumes after this that I will probably get because I really, really enjoyed this. I think some things I had a problem with was actually like there's a miscommunication trope used a lot in a few times, which is really annoying. I really hate that trope. Probably one of my like least favorite tropes is the miscommunication stuff. Very cheap, but I think there's enough good in here that I can make it past that. I think my other problem might be that it has a ton of characters in it. It doesn't take anything away from Shang-Chi. He's still very much like the main character, the main focus, but it's almost like there's so many characters. I actually do want to get to know some of these characters, but we don't have the time. But I'm sure like in the other volumes, in the future volumes that are in this series, we will get to know them a little bit more. I also really like the art as well. Everyone looks really good. Everyone looks pretty satisfying. I think the story is actually really self-contained as well. Like I almost forgot I was reading a Marvel book until they started referencing like Marvel characters. And then I also really like the suit. Like his suit in this book is actually like really, really good. And it's not technically like a traditional superhero suit really, but he's also not really like a traditional superhero in a sense. So it kind of works out. But yeah, I really enjoy that. So I'm excited to get more of this series and read them. So that's everything I read. So let's go over what I got. I didn't go to my comic book store last week, but I still had some pulls from that. It was only two things, which is why I skipped out on it. And they were Static and Batman Beyond. This is, Static in the Beyond timeline, which they played with in the animated series. But I think this might be one of the first, or at least the first in a long time, of them doing it here in the comics. I only got the first issue. I'm gonna see how it is, feel it out. But if I do like it, I would probably get the trade later, and not really get the rest of this. But it is really interesting, I'm gonna have fun with it. And then I also got Power Rangers Prime. This is volume 2 as the trade. I already have the issues for all this. I also got the new issues for this series, but I will talk about that later. This series is letting me down a lot. Every time I read it, I'm like, maybe it'll get better this issue, and then it really doesn't. I'm hoping it picks up in the newest issue or maybe in future issues. But for whatever reason, it's just a really bad pace and doesn't really understand that it has too many characters, and then it's doing too much, it's not doing enough. So it's just an overall weird atmosphere with the writing, and I'm not really sure what it is. And maybe I am a little bit crazy, but the art also feels like it's waning a little bit too. But I like the idea, I like the concept, so I am going to put maybe some false faith into it a little bit more and just see how it pans out. We three, I believe that's how you would say this. I wouldn't know how else to say it, but this is really interesting. This is really thin. It's a lot thinner than I thought it would be. When I bought this, the guy at the comic book store was like, "This is a real tearjerker." So, I'm because it's so thin, I might actually get a chance to read it this month, and then I'll see if it really is a tearjerker. But yeah, Grant Morrison. I've never heard about this really before, and this is also my newest in the line of my compact comics. I have collected them all, so I might do like a little tour of that sometime soon if I can. I don't have all of my compacts with me here, but when I get them, I will do a little like book tour of that. And then I also got Power Rangers Prime 12. And then I also got the variant for that as well, the Mystic Force one. I already said what I said about this. I hope that this issue is good or future issues because it is really letting me down. Nightwing 132. This is a series that I am really enjoying. Really, really good. Really, really good Nightwing story and just story in general. I'm hoping to see more of the Cosmic Jester clown. And then I really interested to know more about this character on the cover as well. What's her deal? What's her problem? We will see. And then also, I know Martian Manhunter shows up in next month's issue, which will be really cool because I'm a big fan of him too. So excited for that. We have New Gods number 12. This is the final issue of the series. I don't know if there's any more coming out after this. I was really confused because some people were talking about as if there was more, and I heard about things that maybe there were more, but it doesn't look like there is when I looked it up. So maybe it's a break, a spin off of something of some sort. I'm not really sure, but I want to read this, finish off this story arc at the least, and see how it goes. Marion Heretic. This is number 2. The first issue was okay. I think it was kind of just alright. There were things I didn't like, things that felt weird. The art exceptional, very good. Let's see how the story is in this issue and see if I'll keep reading, see how it is. But I know the art will at least be very good. Batman and Deadpool, Deadpool Batman. This is the second one of the collab. For the first one, I also only got the Cassandra Cain Electra variant cover from Peach Momoko, and this one I just wanted the Nightwing and Wolverine one because I'm a really big fan of Dick Grayson, and I am a big fan of Laura Kinney as well. I don't really know actually what stories are in this book specifically. I just know that they have a story together, which is very nice. I'm very interested in that one. See how that is. And then also, I got some non-comic book things. I decided to get these two Avatar booster packs from Magic because they just came out. I'm a really big fan of Avatar. Not really a fan of Magic. I don't really know how to play. Every time I try to figure out how to play, I just forget because it's not sticking in my head. Probably a bad money choice, but I did get this big box right here too as well. There was definitely more expensive boxes, but I figured I get this because it has some nice booster packs here and some boxes and whatnot. They had an Appa one, but that was like $110, and this one was not that. So I'm getting Ozai because it's cheaper. Yeah, I'm not really like super into Magic or really know how to play that well. My thing is really more Pokemon TCG, collecting those cards and playing Pokemon. I actually really like playing the Pokemon TCG. Since I'm a big fan of Avatar, that's why I decided to get these. So I'm just going to open these packs and look at the pretty pictures and read the funny little words. But yeah, that's everything I got this week. Let me know what you guys got and let me know what you guys think.